ridiculous shit to each other.
Right. And so when Bam did that to me, he broke my nose.
Wow. Well,
And
shocker.
and I was like I didn't do anything about it for like 2 months, and I just kind of like was stewing about it, and then finally like I didn't like the way it looked, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get my fucking nose fixed, and I'm gonna make the fucking movie pay for it. So I go to this like fancy like Beverly Hills nose doctor, and he says, yeah, I could fix it, but it's been 2 months, it's healed this way. So now at this point,
Yeah,
You
break
have to
it.
like,
re-break it. Oh yeah, you were
yeah,
twisted.
yeah. So
Oh
so now
man.
like if we got to re-break it, and I heard that, and I'm like, oh, no big deal, like I'll live with it. Then I go to the fucking Charlie Sheen roast. I talked Mike Tyson into holding out his fist, just letting me run into
Oh
it.
no.
I was trying to get myself a black eye, and what happened was I just landed with my nose on Mike Tyson's fist and fucking super broke it. And then that was the last thing that happened on stage at the Charlie Sheen roast. So now everybody's like, I'm like just mangled. My fucking nose was so broken. But the show's over. This guy comes up.
So you threw yourself
Oh
at his
yeah, I
fist.
don't. I don't.
Oh my god, dude, that's horrific.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so this guy comes out of the audience. He comes up to me and he says, "Dude, Steve-O, your nose needs to be set right now." And like that made perfect sense to me because of what the doctor had told me.
Yeah.
The guy says, "I'm a kung fu I'm a kung fu instructor. Like I got you." and I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound great, but like he's not going to make it look any worse. I've got very little to lose in this situation. So I sit down on the stage, and he just fucking wrenches my nose into position, and go back to that
And he
before
fixed
and
it?
after.
So that's how he
Dude,
fixed it? Oh, so you
yeah,
didn't go to a doctor?
I got a Mike Tyson nose job, dude. Fucking
Damn,
It looks
dude.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fucking
Looks
Dude,
great.
Dude, go back up to where I started before
It's straight
that.
as fuck, man.
Yeah, it was definitely twisted to the side.
Yeah.
You got
So
the Mike
once he
Tyson
snapped
nose
it,
job.
then you pushed it back into place.
The Mike Tyson nose job.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Way back when, before I got sober, I had this tour. It was called the Don't Try This at Home tour, and I would promote every show by saying, "I will be drunk and on drugs, or your money back." Like, and I'm in it. And you watched me
What
get
year was this?
that. It started in 2001, and I ran that till like 2005, and I mean, you would just watch me get completely hammered on stage, like pounding tequila and shit. When I came out on stage, I would walk out with like a suitcase of Budweiser cans, and I'd toss them out of the crowd, and I would take the can. I would start out with one, and I would just bash my head with it until the can exploded, and I'd be particularly proud if the can broke into two separate pieces. And after I broke the one can, then I would take out two cans, one in each hand, and go back and forth, ba 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 ba, and break both of them. So I would every show I would break 3 beers over my head, and I would do that like every night.
Oh my god.
And that like what I understand about the CTE phenomenon is that you're absolutely right. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's the accumulation of lots of little hits, and that's why football is the biggest.
Did you suffer anything from that?
Dude, the worst part was then like after I got sober, I started doing stand up. Like initially, there was a period where I would do it with sparkling water cans.
And you were doing it still? You were still beating yourself in the head?
I did it for a little while, and
How many times do you think you've beaten yourself in the head? How many shows? If you had to count them all up.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Oh my god.
Right, and I mean, as far as I can tell, I'm in pretty good shape. Tony Hawk told me one time. He says that he found out with regard to CTE that there's a gene which will make you predisposed to Alzheimer's disease.
APOE4. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have that gene, then you're very much at risk for
Yeah.
CTE. But if you don't have that gene, you're considerably less at risk.
Mm.
And he said that when he found that out, he went and got the test and determined that he did not have that gene. And when I heard that, like, I kind of chewed on it for a while. I ended up like it was kind of nagging at me, and I ended up like reaching back out to Tony. I said, "Hey Tony, about that test, like, what was your plan if you did have the gene? You can't unhate
Right.
yourself in the head,
Right.
you know?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I didn't have a plan." I'm like,
Well, how
what?
can you have a plan after the fact?
Right, exactly. But so I'm like, I don't want to fucking go take that test. I don't want to know if I have that goddamn gene or not.
Well, if it's been this many years afterwards, you're not suffering. You
Yeah.
probably don't have that gene.
I also went to, like, and now of course, famously the whole CTE phenomenon. You can't find out if you have it until you've died and they've like
I think
dissect-
they can tell now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a new way that they can tell before you die. But it used to
Wow.
be that they had to wait and do an autopsy on you.
Right. Well, I went to some like brain specialist kind of guy.
Were you
and-
having problems?
No, I just went because I was interested. And Dr. Drew sent me to this guy. It was actually when I was I was trying to get cauliflower ear as
Oh.
as part of my multimedia comedy. And I remember telling you too that I was like, I'm gonna do a crazy bit, and I tried to get cauliflower ear. And I remember you telling me that you were like, nope, I don't support that. You said, I think that cauliflower ear is something that should be earned, you know, like you. And I remember thinking, oh well, like I became buddies with Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell and I got together. We made the fucking funniest, craziest video, like of him trying to get like, I made this helmet that like I designed this helmet that left my ears sticking out, so it would protect my head from like headshots, a little bit, and my ears
A little
sticking out, and I got. Chuck Liddell fucking sets a golf ball on my ear and fucking whacks it off
Oh
with a golf
no!
club.
Did you get cauliflower ear?
No. then we'd spent 2 days with Chuck trying to do it, and it just didn't work. Then I got together with Ronda Rousey and was on the mats with her, and she's like, her and Travis, just like roughing up my ear all day long, and they're looking at my ear. They're like, dude, we got it. That's it. You know, we got it. And then it just went away. Then I got together with Jorge Masvidal. He put his BMF belt over my ear, and he's just like punching
Oh,
it against
Jesus.
a door. And he's like, dude, that's it right there, man. That's cauliflower. We got it.
Still
And
no?
it didn't. And then I got together with John Jones.
Oh my God!
I had like the who's
Everybody's
who.
You're
of
such
the
a glutton
shots
for
and-
punishment.
I had the who's who of the UFC Hall of Fame, like
Steve was
give their
fucking crazy,
best
man.
shot, and everybody said, "Dude, we got it," and then it didn't work. Dude, John Jones blasted my ear into oblivion, like
Oh,
with a. He took what at the time was his current light heavyweight belt, and like. Oh yeah, there we
oh,
go.
Jesus Christ! And he's hammering your ear.
Dude,
Oh my God!
He so upsettingly overdid it that my ear got blasted apart.
And you still
I-
didn't get cauliflower.
Dude.
Oh God, it's so bloody. Oh my God, dude!
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We're not putting that
Did you
on
get
the
that? You
good.
just chipped it off. You didn't get stitched up.
Um,
Just cut that little piece off.
just chopped it off.
Oh
with
no!
Scissors. Yeah.
So you have like the Evander Holyfield, like when
Well,
Tyson bit Holyfield's ear.
Right, dude. That was an idea that I pitched for Jackass like multiple times. I was like, do I want like Mike Tyson to bite a chunk off?
Oh no! Oh my God!
So far, I really enjoy Marvel's Midnight Suns, having now played about 15 hours of the tactical RPG, which pulls inspiration from the XCOM games. Removing XCOM's frustrating percentage system, which caused even the most well-planned strategies to have a chance of just not working, makes the turn-based tactical combat in Midnight Suns a lot more fun.
I hated that
thanks to the
percentage
deck
system.
building card system, randomness still factors into the equation, creating a healthy bit of challenge. You can expect more words from me regarding the actual gameplay of Midnight Suns when the full review embargo is up. For now, I want to briefly touch on an aspect of Midnight Suns we haven't really had a chance to see a whole lot of yet: the writing and story. To recap, in Midnight Suns you play as the Hunter, prophesies to defeat your mother, Lilith, and seal away her dark magic forever. You're assigned leadership of the latest iteration of the Midnight Suns, a team composed of superheroes with powers that dabble in the mystic and supernatural, going out to face Lilith's demonic forces and the members of Hydra she's enthralled. Lilith's war on humanity attracts the attention of less magically inclined heroes as well, and so your efforts are also bolstered by members of the Avengers and X-Men. Each character features their own unique abilities portrayed as cards within a deck, allowing you to switch up your strategies depending on who you bring on a mission. I wasn't expecting a story quite so action hero focused given the namesake Midnight Suns is pulling from. It's a bit by the numbers, even by the standards of superhero fiction. So major plot points can be seen coming from a mile away, and moments of grief or tragedy aren't given adequate room to fester, as the more wisecracking heroes are quick to fill the silence with jokes to liven up the situation.
That's Carol and Dr. Spooky over there, here to help.
So far, that's keeping the game story from being great, but it's certainly not bad by any stretch. If you've watched any of the team-oriented MCU movies, you already kind of know what you're getting with Midnight Suns. This game feels more like the MCU's lighthearted take on Age of Ultron, and less like the darker Midnight Suns comic book series. Between the major plot points, Midnight Suns allows you to explore optional, more personal side stories, and it's in those smaller interactions between the Hunter and the individual members of their team that the game manages to squeeze out some incredible moments. Building up your friendship with certain heroes unlocks additional cutscenes and conversations with them, many of which culminate in heartwarming reveals or devastating discoveries. Magic, in particular, is one of the best written characters in Midnight Suns, and her friendship arc with the Hunter, which sees the two bond over their respective struggles with their innate darkness, has been my favorite part of the game thus far. In that same respect, Midnight Suns brings incredible characterizations to the members of the Midnight Suns team, all of whom benefit from excellent voice acting. The Avengers and other non-magical heroes feel a bit boring in comparison, and maybe that's an intentional choice to further highlight the mystical and demonic personalities that make up the Midnight Suns side of the game. From what I've seen so far, characters like Iron Man and Captain America don't have very interesting narrative arcs. It's clear that the Avengers, as older heroes, have gone through their fair share of growth prior to the events of the game, leaving less room for meaningful development both as individuals or as members of a team, in comparison to the much younger members of the Midnight Suns, most of whom haven't worked with other superheroes before. It also doesn't help that the actors voicing the Avengers and X-Men seem to have been told to channel the energy of their MCU counterparts as best they could, resulting in recognizable but suboptimal copies of characters we've met before. That said, as of writing this preview, I have found that Captain Marvel's arc has begun to get quite interesting, and diverge a bit from what we've seen of her character in the MCU and recent comic book storylines, which may be a sign that the game is simply taking a bit longer to turn its focus to the development of the non-mystical heroes. We'll see how it all pans out by the time of the review. Overall, my time with Midnight Suns so far has been entertaining, especially when that time is spent focusing on the members of the Midnight Suns team like Nico and Magic. Qualms with other characters don't extend to the combat, as everyone so far has proven to be fun to play, creating interesting team combinations and potential deck building strategies that keep each mission fresh and exciting. Here's hoping that keeps up.
Just warning you guys, if you ever thought I was in my villain era before,
all right,
I wasn't. It's starting right now.
Get it on.
Right now.
All right.
I hate all men. I don't care who you are.
Okay.
I'm done.
I wasn't even that attracted to him.
Okay. Well.
I wasn't, but I gave him my number anyway. On Saturday, guess what? It's Monday. Guess what I can't stop thinking about? I'm not even sad. I'm just upset. I'm like,
bitter.
How dare you look at me?
All right, let me see if I got this right. She gives a number to somebody she has no interest in, but then when he doesn't text, she's bitter. Is that how this works?
This is to the cashier who works at Jiffy Lube in Catonsville, Maryland. You got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve.
Wow.
How dare you be that fine?
You know when the words "how dare you" come out of someone's mouth, that usually means it's complete drama queen. How dare you be that fine and not want to get with me? I mean, how could you resist all this?
Come from behind the counter to talk to me,
Come from
me
behind.
and only
Got
me. Like, energy wise, ask me to marry you. And then when the
That's where these girls get confused. The guy's polite. He smiles, engages with her. She thinks that means he's into her. She's a customer. He's just trying to get in the extra air filter at Jiffy Lube. She's reading the signs wrong. She's used to being encouraged online with the big milks, and all of a sudden she's like, "You're not into all this? How dare you?"
mechanic let me leave without paying,
Uh,
you didn't.
Hold on a second. Do you believe that Jiffy Lube, the mechanic, let her leave without paying? She thinks she's that hot where they're just like, "Oh, don't worry about it, ma'am. I know we changed your oil. We rang you up somewhere in the system, but you can leave because you're such a hot TikToker that we want your business in the future just to look at." Come on, man.
Pull me aside. You didn't ask for my number.
Nope. No. Not
What's
interested.
happening? What are we
Not
doing?
interested.
Co phase, I
Okay.
had with like 12 dudes in 1 week.
Wait a second. Peak strong and independent hashtag girl boss phase. 12 guy body count ran through it. Is that something you'd want to advertise?
Okay for women to say that they want to date millionaires, but if men say they want to date size 2s, they're
It's because women are hypocrites. For example, like most women want a tall guy, but when a guy mentions that he wants a skinny girl, he's body shaming.
Allow me to make a point of clarification. Most people are hypocrites, men and women. Like they'll say, "Oh, look at her, she's a chub," and they're the first ones that will date her or be running through it. So, it's a common thing. People don't want to admit their faults. Let's keep moving.
So if you've ever been to the DR, stop
Yes.
scrolling. I'm gonna need y'all to spill the tea on what is exactly taking place out there. Like, I'm
Okay.
genuinely trying to understand why this seems to be the top destination for guys trips, fellas trips.
I wonder.
What's happening? What's happening? What's going on in the DR? Should I be concerned?
So she doesn't get why the guys' trips are in the DR. So you got a country that's not that affluent. Very attractive women, right? Your dollar goes, we'll call it a long way, and you can kind of do your thing. So yeah, if she's got a man down the DR and he's the typical Giga Chad, she may want to be concerned.
Wow, in New York City, in lingerie, black lipstick, in 60-degree weather.
amazing.
Thank you so much. What was I saying? Yesterday, I went to dinner with my friends, and I enter the restaurant, and I'm waiting for my table.
When your face fills up the whole landscape portion of your video for TikTok, you need to put the phone a little further back because that's a lot going on right there.
A man is taking pictures of me.
Wonder why he was taking pictures. You just saw a clip, and let's flash back for a moment.
Go out in New York City, in lingerie. I'm just standing there, and he has his phone pointed at me from
Wait
the
for it.
side, taking pictures of me as
Wait
I'm
for it,
standing.
wait for it.
Thin people will never.
All right, so if you're sitting there waiting to get into a restaurant, she walks in, morbidly obese woman with lingerie on. I'm sure she had something outrageous. You'd be like, want to take a picture, send to your buddies to yuck it up. And then she wonders why. Well, maybe the guy actually thought she was super hot. Maybe that's the case. But you got to expect it. When you wear something that says, look at me, people are going to look at you.
Never understand what it's like for
don't.
your existence
Okay.
to be a joke. Men who are rude to fat women or traditionally unattractive women. Let me explain. As a fat woman, a lot of time, guys will come up to my friends and I and will flirt with my thinner friends. And that's fine. But the way that they interact with me tells me every single thing I need to know about them.
Smart men get it. So it's a friend group of girls. You can't be mean to the fat one. We used to know that. That was common knowledge. So you were nice to everybody. You wanted the hot one. But the fat one could block you, right? Be like the rooster block kind of thing. So you always knew that. I don't know if the new guys don't get it or she's just lying because she's super sensitive.
If they acknowledge my presence, say hello, whatever,
Hey,
chill.
Chubs.
But so many times, they won't even look me in the eye. They will talk to my friends and pretend like I'm not there. And that immediately tells me that that person doesn't respect me. So men who don't respect women, they don't find, they don't respect women.
Hold on a second. So in this make-believe scenario, a group of guys are trying to hook up with their hot friend, and they just completely are nasty to the fat one. That doesn't compute. Unless these guys are complete morons, we all know you got to be nice to the friend group because the chub one could be in charge of like the hot one's feelings, put a bad word in for you. And men don't disrespect you as a human. they may not be attracted. So that's just the way it works.
Straight
for
up, they do not respect women. Because if they don't respect the women they're not attracted to, then they're just trying to be kind to you because they want to get into your pants. If you have a fat friend and she gets bad vibes from a guy, listen to her. She is right.
Good men finish last. I'm going to say it again. Good men finish last. And I'm going to tell you why.
I'm not sure that's exactly true. Men that haven't got into the game, right? Like, you got to get into the game, understand how this works. You can still be decent, but you got your guard up a little bit. You don't go overboard, and you look for the clues. Like, this is a solid person, so I can open up a little bit more. Maybe the good ones are getting smarter. That's how that works.
Here comes this man after you've been abused, cheated on, lied to, been with a narcissistic, whatever your case is. He comes in. He shows you you're loved, you're appreciated, you're respected. He treats you like a queen for the first time in your life.
Queen.
But you have trouble understanding what you did to deserve it.
No, you guys, all I have to say is get yourself a pro athlete. Look what he got me today. Today was like our first, like...
All right, so you get a very average girl who's getting used on the side by the pro athlete. I mean, let's be honest, very average. She likes the goodies in a pro athlete. If she doesn't understand how this works, pro athlete, rock star, you get it. They're going to have lots of girls on the side, and she's nothing special because he can find 1,000 more just like that. Of course, this ends poorly. Stand by.
Date. He had this for me in his car.
Oh, so he loves you.
Oh, also, let me just say, he opened the door for me every single time. Opened and closed the
That used to be a thing. You'd open the door, go into a restaurant for your lady. Some guys run around, open the door for the lady. But if you did that now, they'd think immediately you were a
You're a
they
pussy.
think you didn't have what it takes because you're being polite. Because
now
of the
if you do,
hyperbolic
you're a
social
pussy.
media culture, if
And
you're
you're
nice, that
lame.
means you're weak.
door for me.
And
Like his car door.
the chase is over.
You
She no
guys,
longer has
you
anybody
guys,
to
what did I do
chase.
to deserve this?
And therefore she's bored.
Hold
No
on.
guy has ever treated me like this. Like, I know, like, people don't really know. But, like, all I've ever dealt with is being cheated on, being disrespected, literally being...
This is a little bit of a foreshadowing what's to come. The star athlete, right? He meets her, very average. I'm sure personality is the same. He can find 1,000 more like that along the way while he's a star athlete and wait for the disappointment.
being told I'm not good enough. Being told I'm not pretty enough. Imagine me. I'm a bitch. I'm a bad... I got my fucking life together. I have a house. I bought a house, a condo. I bought it myself. I have a dog. I raised her. I pay for her food. I pay for her vet bills. I have a car.
So her street cred is she has a dog, she raised it, and pays for the food and the vet bills. That means she's a strong, independent woman, right? That she's got a dog and she takes care of it. It means she's got common sense. You got the dog, now you got to take care of her to get rid of it.
I pay for my car insurance. I pay for everything. I pay for my clothes. I pay for gas. I go to work. I have a wonderful job that I honestly...
So now you've reached mini adult status. So you go to work, you pay for your things. That means
pay
you're
my
really
bills.
strong, independent. No, that means you're kind of an adult. You're learning, you're getting there. That would be normal stuff that normal adults do.
really love. I go to the gym. I work on myself. I work on myself mentally. And you're telling me that at the age of 24, I'm crying over a man. When I have everything I need in my life. I have everything I've ever dreamed for. And I'm here crying over a man. Why?
You don't have everything. You're crying, recording it in your car in some parking lot, then you're posting it. So your sense of shame is gone. Your sense of dignity is gone. You
I'm
don't have
working
quite
on myself
everything.
mentally.
Why am I like this? Why the f- am I
daddy
like this?
issues.
I literally have everything
Yeah,
in the
where's
world.
your-
I literally have my...
No,
Where's your father?
Are you tired of seeing more driven and capable people get ahead? Are you fed up of scrounging for scraps while others reap the benefits of hard work? Are you a lazy bum with a broken moral compass? Then I'm here to tell you not to lose hope. With just a few simple tricks, you can scheme and manipulate your way straight to the top. You can apply this advice to not only World of Warcraft, but real life too. Trust me, you'll be soaring high in no time. So let's get into it. Step 1, butter them up. Friendship is more valuable than gold, or so they say. I'm not so sure about that myself, but the illusion of friendship can certainly get you places, like into a guild or a raid group. So how do you go about it? How do you go about making friends? Well, let's consider our targets, or should I say, our future companions. Chances are you're looking to butter up a person who spends most of their free time accumulating transitory weapons and armor in an almost 20-year-old video game. You know, a big loser geek. Now, what is it that all geeky losers crave? Affirmation. They want to know that their decision to sink entire portions of their life into a video game has been worthwhile. Feed their ego, nourish it, tell them how in awe of them you are. Talk about how cool their mount is, how you wish that one day you could get the best gear, just like them. Then nod along to whatever boasting and advice they spew. Make them feel big, make them feel special, make them feel smart. Then, soon enough, maybe after a dungeon group, they'll get you in with their guild. Now, of course, there's always going to be those shrewd players that won't bite. But hey, you're not running out of bait anytime soon. Step 2, make them dependent on you. You have a sought-after skill, a utility that others lack. Take, for instance, myself. As a warlock, I'm able to set up a summoning stone at a moment's notice. So long as a couple of bums can muster the energy to click on the portal, then I can summon raid members from anywhere, straight to my current location. Helpful if raid members are running late, or had to herf out to repair, or, you know, they're picking their nose. The convenience of a portable summoning stone cannot be understated. This unique skill makes a warlock quite desirable to have in a raid group or guild. Now, of course, some of you may have chosen to play another class for some reason, but fret not. Most classes have some kind of skill that makes them unique, unless you're playing Modern WoW, in which case disregard this. Shamans, for instance, in Wrath of the Lich King, have bloodlust or heroism, depending on faction. A highly sought-after skill. Paladins have their auras and blessings. Mages, they buff intellect, they conjure free food, they can teleport, they can transport others to cities, they get a lot, come to think of it. I hope they choke on their mana strudels. My point is, if you have a class skill that people feel like they need, you can be forgiven for perhaps not being the highest on the damage meters, or being the one member of your group that is yet to master the Hygen dance. What are they going to do? Kick me? Then who's going to do all the summoning? Who's going to soulstone the main tank, Unless, of course, they have a second warlock, a rival. We'll get to that. Step 3, bleed them dry. So you're in good with a guild. You might not be the best player, but they're starting to depend on you. Then now is the time to start leeching off of them. Subtlety is key here. You don't want to be making grand demands, like that your guild should be paying for your traveler's tundra mammoth. It will be, but making such bold demands will give your intentions away. Instead, you want to needle your guild members, individually. Approach those players that seem agreeable, the ones who are most likely to give a helping hand to a new recruit. Then, get creative. Are they aware that you're only 50 gold away from being able to afford epic flying? Do they know that you only need a few more key materials to craft that one item? They will be, because you're going to work that into your conversations with them. Make them think you're just a poor, naive noob who's down on his luck, when really you're a cunning predator, like a vampire. Suck 'em dry. Step 4, sow discourse. Now, what do you do if people start asking questions? How do we stop the greater collective from noticing certain patterns of behavior? How do we dispose of that other warlock who thinks they're so much more capable than ourselves? Well, we introduce a little chaos and confusion into the guild. Just like Grima Wormtongue, you want to be whispering in the ears of your comrades, planting the seeds of doubt and mistrust. Hey, have you noticed how that guy only seems to play female gnomes? Kinda weird, right? I don't know about that guy. Get them questioning each other. Again though, be careful. No one is gonna swallow a whole cup of poison if you hand it to them. You're gonna have to drip it into your more friendly conversations. Anyway, the more they're suspicious of each other, the less they'll be paying attention to you, the sweet, innocent little nooblet that you are. Which brings us to the final part of the plan. Step 5. Get out while you're ahead. Eventually, the jig will be up, and you don't want to be around when things sour. Now, hopefully the chaos you've sown has bought you some time. Bonus points if you are able to butter up any officers in your guild, and are in a role that lets you access their bank. Because now it's time to help yourself to whatever isn't locked down. Think of it as an all-you-can-eat buffet, and you're not paying the bill. The method of exit, I'll leave up to you. You can, of course, just dip. You've got what you came for. Now it's time to cut ties before the suckers figure things out. So grab and run. Sure, they'll realize who the snake was eventually, but you'll be long gone by then. And that's pretty much it. A simple guide to manipulate and exploit your way to success. And speaking of exploiting people, allow me to now exploit you, humble viewer. I recently talked about the moment World of Warcraft hooked me in a video that should be on the screen now. I poured my heart out for you. Don't leave me feeling vulnerable now. Give it a watch if it takes your fancy. Anyways, that's it.
Bag secured, period. They hating, they mad, they furious. This dress from Fashion Nova, just in case you curious. This bag is serious. The math, delirious. Them haters are hearing it.
What the fuck?
One, two, 1, 2. Episode 23. We're doing it solo today. There's just too much I gotta cover here. The roller coaster of human dysfunction we've all been forced to ride against our will here in this country is showing no signs of stopping. I was in Asheville, North Carolina a few weeks ago. I figured I'd escape into the mountains for some normalcy, but nope. Within 5 minutes of me walking out of my hotel room, I barely make it 5 blocks before I'm face to face with a man standing at an intersection doing Limp Bizkit covers for people waiting at the red light.
I did it all for the nookie! The nookie! So you can take that cookie, sing it up your yeah! Sing it up your yeah! Sing it up your yeah! Sing it up your...
But here's the thing. He's got his guitar plugged into his headphones so nobody can hear it.
All the egg, either way. Hey, what the hell? What you want me to say? I won't lie, that I can't deny.
I mean, have you ever seen a street performer who only performs for himself? I went right up to him.
Wow.
I'm like, I need to document this because this is new behavior the world is yet to see.
Sing it up your yeah! Sing it up your yeah!
You know, he's got his guitar case open on the side so he could tip him. But why would anyone tip you? You're not doing anything for us. You're playing for yourself in your headphones. We can't hear you.
Yeah, sing it up, yo! Cut it up!
You know, then I'm walking around and I end up over at the art gallery because, you know, I'm a very refined individual. Anyway, I'm 2 hours go by and I look out the window and he's still out there. So this is just going on all day. He's made no money. All he had to do was just put a little speaker there. He's doing this for nothing. I mean, that was just a precursor of the things that I saw in this town. Don't get me wrong, I had a great time over there. The art and music scene is great, but man, there is some weird shit going on in that town. I'm doing a whole rundown on this place on my Patreon today, so if you want to hear some of these stories, find me on there. I don't know, man. We got a lot of dysfunction to talk about today. Kanye West, everyone's pissed off at Kanye West. I'm more concerned about his cheeks. Has anyone noticed this? What is going on here? He looks like he's been rummaging around the forest storing acorns in his mouth. He's starting to look like that other guy, DJ Academics. They're like the modern-day Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I mean, what are they, preparing for a role here? Is there a live-action reboot of the show in the works? I mean, if there is, this might be a good move for their public image here. Everybody loves the Rescue Rangers. I don't know. But let me give a shout out to my sponsor first for supporting the show. Christmas is coming. Let this be a reminder. I always wait till the last minute to do shopping. I always regret it. Now is the time, though, to get those Raycons because this is when all the deals happen. The other thing is I always forget the stocking stuffer, and these things are perfect for that. They got all these specials going on. You could do one of the holiday bundles. That'll save you 30%. I like the All-Star bundle. You get the everyday earbuds and the fitness earbuds. Yeah, both of these are great. And you won't look like a goober with those two little white stems hanging out of your ear like that other brand. You could get these in stores, but the best deal is through me. You got to use my special link, buyraycon.com/JoeyBVS, and use code EARLYBF. That's 20% off any Raycon product, which almost never happens. Or do one of the holiday bundles. You'll save 30% off that way. That's code EARLYBF at buyraycon.com/JoeyBVS for 20% off your Raycon purchase. Buyraycon.com/JoeyBVS. I saw this before I turned the mic on today. Apparently some TikTok zero decided to hit golf balls into the Grand Canyon a few weeks ago. I mean, there's obviously hikers down there, animals, but she doesn't care, though. No, anything for likes and views. I mean, one look at her TikTok account, you could see this is just your typical no-talent narcissist, just constantly objectifying and degrading herself. You know, the type of person we all raise our daughters to become, right? Yeah, Jesus. Anyway, the actual Grand Canyon National Park had to make a Facebook post to the public with her picture saying, do we really need to say don't hit golf balls into the Grand Canyon? Yeah, it's 2022. You do. You really should make her go down there and retrieve the club and all the balls she hit. And don't let her back up until she finds them all. That's what I would do. I feel like no one ever hands out the proper punishments to these people. I know they charged her and everything. She has to go to court over it. I mean, they'll probably fine her, but those things don't usually stop dummies from being dummies. You got to make them feel how dumb they are before they can do anything about it. It's like step one of recovery, admitting you have a problem. So maybe if she was down in the Grand Canyon at 3 a.m, pitch black looking for golf balls, maybe she'd have a moment of clarity and say to herself, I'm doing this because I'm an idiot. This must be why I was sent down here. No one else has to do this, so maybe I make poor decisions. Or you could do like a Top Golf night at the Grand Canyon. You know Top Golf? It's like a bar, restaurant with a golf course attached to it. Yeah, you could clear out a section of the Grand Canyon, relocate the animals, put a fence around the area, put her in it. Then at the top of the Grand Canyon, put some tables, a bucket of beer, a bucket of balls, and invite people over, have a top golf night at the Grand Canyon and just hit some golf balls in there, just like she did. Just do everything that she did. I think we should try new ways to waken these people up to their stupidity. You got to embarrass them. Don't forget, these people live for attention and validation from society online. So if the only attention they get is secondhand embarrassment, then maybe they'll change their ways. I don't know. What they really should do is they should come out with an app like a TikTok tracker that alerts you if there's any TikTokers in your vicinity so that you can avoid them. Like if you want to take your family to a park, with the app, you can see who's there before you go. Like an alert that says this area has a high volume of TikTokers present. Zoom in and you can see specifically where they are. Like, it looks like there's people having conniptions by the swing sets. Can't go there. Looks like Sonic the Emo Hog has occupied the picnic table area.
It was not your fault but mine. It was your heart on the line.
It'd be a good tool to have. The ones that get me are the ones that do it on purpose in front of people so they can't get past them. So that, they have to stop everything so everyone pays attention to them. There's this one kid I always see. It's like every single video that he does, it's always just right in front of people so they can't move. Like there's one where he's on a plane. Like okay, these people can't get off the plane. Now they gotta wait till he has his fit. It's just like look, he's in a crowd here. Like everybody's got to go around him. I mean, at least there's space over here. But it's like the plane thing. It's like there's nowhere to go. And no one's ever impressed by what they're doing ever. Everyone's just annoyed by them or just looking around like, what the fuck is this? But in their head, they think they're doing something special, like they're talented or something. Nobody cares. Like, do they think they're going to get the same reaction as someone playing, like, the saxophone in the subway or, like, having a band or something where people are playing instruments? I mean, usually those kind of people get a little crowd around them and you get some claps and, people appreciate them. But these people, it's like you're not doing anything. Stop forcing people to look at you. Just keep it in your bedroom. Stop seeping into society with this nonsense. Nobody cares about this. This like, you're going to be, in 20 years, you're going to be embarrassed that you did this. Like, there needs to be trap doors on the ground for these people. Businesses should be allowed to implement those. I'm for that. I don't get it. You know what else I don't get? This Megan Fox Machine Gun Kelly thing.
Yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes.
How long is this going to go on for? Now she's saying, kill me or get me pregnant. Now, just based on this photo here, are we sure that that wasn't him that said that to her? I mean, the guy looks like a powder puff girl. I have a feeling it's him that wants to be impregnated. I think they got the story wrong. They should look into this. We'll have to see if they do a retraction.
Let me bleed on you.
I watched this interview with Kanye and Chris Cuomo. Yeah, that hypocrite. Remember when he pretended to care about the mask thing?
Look at these fools. Fools. I know they want to be out there. Fools. It's not about you. What about the other people? And look, I'm not going to castigate you. That's not my job. I'm not your daddy. But we have to think about this.
Anyway.
And then the reality.
CNN anchor Chris Cuomo has been caught again gallivanting around New York without a protective mask. Cuomo was reportedly seen on the weekend in a New York City members club, not wearing a mask and walking around to greet people as if he were the mayor.
Yeah, so now his new thing is he tries to pretend to care about Kanye West.
Here's my concern for you. When I hear how you talk about your personal life and you put things out there and you get into these looping thoughts of what you believe, it sounds to me like you are sometimes out of control.
Oh, I'm worried about you, buddy. Yeah, right. We already know the guy's got problems. Hasn't he been open about that? I don't follow enough Kanye West to really know what his deal is. I could have sworn I saw something where he talked about that he's got bipolar.
I'm trying to make sure that you're healthy and you're taking care of your health.
Did you work out this morning?
No.
Then he goes, I take my antidepressants every day.
But I took my antidepressant medication that I take every day.
Well, shouldn't we be concerned for you then? I mean, you're taking pills with the side effects of suicide. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I don't think somebody severely depressed like that should be working in the media doing this type of job. This can't be good for him. I mean, look at him. You ever look in his eyes? He always looks like he's like a day away from jumping off a bridge. I'm not even kidding here. Honest to God, look at his eyes. You mean to say that you can't see some level of sadness? I read something a while ago about how he doesn't even like what he does. It was some interview in some magazine or website or something. Yeah, it was on his radio show. He says he doesn't like what he does professionally.
I don't want to spend my time doing things that I don't think are valuable enough to me personally. Like what? Well,
you like lying to everybody?
I don't like what I do professionally, I've decided.
I would be way more concerned with this man's livelihood than Kanye West.
I just hope that you're taking care of yourself.
The phony concern on their faces. That's the thing that gets me the worst. You're just disingenuous.
I do believe that your health should be a concern for you and that you take care of it.
Thank you. It's about my health. It's not about my truth.
It's not all about your health. I think that you believe these things.
You know what? I don't even care. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So much dysfunction going on.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Anyway, I got to send a thank you to my guys over at ExpressVPN 2 today for supporting the show. The Christmas movies are going to be taken over soon. I got to admit, I like Christmas movies. I love the Griswold one. That's probably my favorite one. I like the old Peanuts stuff. Like all the old school animation. I love all that stuff. Like some people don't realize that there's movies that you can't get in your country that you can get in other countries. This is where ExpressVPN comes in handy. Like you ever search for something and it's just not there, right? Well, that doesn't mean that they don't have it. It's just not available in your country. But this is the workaround. When you get ExpressVPN, it lets you change your location online. You could pick between 100 different countries. See, then you could just find some of these Christmas shows or movies that you haven't been seeing on there. And all the other genres. And you could use this for pretty much all the streaming sites. There's an app for this, too. You could do this on your phone, tablet, on your TV. I always have it running. So get your money's worth and get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN for free when you go to expressvpn.com/JoeyBVS. That's expressvpn.com/JoeyBVS. We got people gluing themselves to things now. This hasn't stopped yet. First it was the Van Gogh painting. Now it's all these other paintings that they've thrown mashed potatoes and tomato soup, and they're gluing themselves to cars. Here's one gluing his head to a painting. This is the girl with a pearl earring. Yeah, now they got to rename it. Girl with an invalid glued to her head. Jesus. How come you never see them glue their heads to the freeway? Oh, never mind. This guy beat everyone to it. Oh, this one looks like it was last year. This is in Great Britain. Good God, man. They had to use scissors to remove him. Oh, this was on a tarmac. Protester who glued face to road admits it wasn't one of my better moves. Like, what other moves are you making, dude? I feel like this is the type of dude that would get his Johnson stuck in a vacuum.
Jackass.
It's so crazy out there. Did you see that girl, Emily Ratajkowski? She bought her son a set of dolls to offset his obsession with toy trucks. He's a 1-year-old. And then she's posting these photos of herself in the bathtub with her kid, naked. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, let's share that with the world so that when he grows up and goes to school, his peers can remind him of that photo. I mean, like, how do these people not know where this leads to? There's this weird obsession with certain women in the public who are obsessed with being naked and just constantly sharing photos of themselves completely naked. I mean, they can just roll them right off the tongue. Chelsea Handler does this. It's constantly any reason to be naked. Amy Schumer, constantly looking for reasons to be naked. Britney Spears, they're always naked. Like, don't they realize that the youth sees this and thinks that it's normal to objectify themselves? I mean, look what you see online from the youth. You see they're twerking in grocery stores, OnlyFans accounts. I mean, like, it's just like, and nobody wants to have the conversation about how this opens the doors to predators. But everybody's concerned about sexual harassment, the Me Too thing and everything. And it's like, but when you tie it to that, they try to make it out that you're victim blaming. All right, then let me just do what you want me to do then. Let me have a daughter. You know, I'm going through her Instagram now. She's twerking in grocery stores. She's half nude in all of her photos. She's got an OnlyFans. What am I supposed to do? Oh, good, honey. You're very empowering and brave. I'm very, very proud of you. Is that what I should be doing? But if I were to go, do you see the type of people you're attracting by doing this, honey? These people are whacking it to your photos. You're becoming material for perverts. Like, if your daughter goes to a party with a short skirt and a short shirt on, you're going to try to pretend that there's not a group of guys at that party that see that as a green light. Do you know what those type of guys think when they see a girl online posting provocative photos or at a party showing a lot of skin? They think it's a green light. They go, if she's willing to show the world her body or the entire school most of her body, surely it'll be easy to get her to show me all of it. Why do you think these people call these girls easy? It's like there's certain people that can't acknowledge that.
Lay down.
Because they think by pointing that out, that's you taking away the blame from the aggressor. That's not true. Someone who holds you against your will and does bad things to you is always 100% responsible.
A thong is consent.
Nobody's denying that. But we have the ability to put ourselves in vulnerable positions to be harmed. You're going to try to pretend that there's not a group of guys at that party that see that as a green light to treat that girl like a piece of meat.
Oh, yeah.
You're putting yourself at risk. And then they try to vilify men for having this perspective as if it's some kind of like misogynistic, patriarchal stance. Like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, if I'm off base here, so then every father who wants his daughter to dress respectfully is off base too, what is the point of protecting your daughter?
Can't we do
Is it
both?
just there's no need for it?
Can we do both?
I just don't. Honest to God,
It's
like
like,
try to
no,
have this
tell your-
discussion with certain
No,
people.
tell your daughter
Like
not
find
to
like
dress
if
it.
you
No,
know
tell
somebody
your
who
son-
likes to be
no, tell
naked
your son
online
not
all
to
the
do
time,
that.
and or
Can-
just talk to them,
Can we
have
do
this
both?
conversation.
Like we used
You
to?
can't. You'll hit a wall with
You know?
them. I promise you. I've gone through this
Back
before.
in the 50s, you didn't leave
I just
your
feel like
house without
we
a
do
suit.
such a disservice to the youth by normalizing this stuff.
Nowadays, you go up
I
to
mean, these
Walmart,
kids
you
are
see people
so
walking around in
confused these
pajamas.
days to begin with. They're so impressionable now more than ever.
Societies.
All that's coming at them. I
We're-
don't even
we're
think we're
doomed.
even equipped to be able to handle the amount of information that comes at us
We peaked.
with this social media
We peaked
nonsense and the
somewhere,
internet. I mean,
how
like
I say, in
you
2000.
see what's happening with this generation. So many of them are lost. So many of them have anxiety. They don't want to work. They get overwhelmed so easy. I mean, I saw this video of this kid he working at Starbucks on the verge of tears, or he is crying about just having to work and go to school. Look at this. It's incredible.
People wonder why we need a union at Starbucks, and I am literally about to quit. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but, like, I really want to. I almost walked out today, and I'm crying in the back room right now, and I almost cried on the floor. It's just... I'm like a full-time student. I get scheduled for 25 hours a week, and on weekends they schedule me the entire day, open to close. I'm on the schedule for 8.5 hours.
8
You mean like what everybody has to
and
do?
a half.
I'm like 3.5 hours into my shift. There's so many customers, and we have 4 people on the floor all day. Only 5 people were put on the schedule, and somebody had to call out. And there are 4 people running the whole store, and there's so many customers, and there's buzz, and they scheduled 5 people.
I mean, what do you expect to do before? How do you expect to make money before you have a career? You got to do shitty jobs. You got to do jobs you don't want to do. You're paying your dues. Everybody has to do this. Like, what do they think when they hear about people coming over to America in like the late 1800s on a fucking ship, you know, and then they got to work on a railroad, you know, they live in a house with no electricity, probably. I mean, it just.
We only have 13 people employed at this store, and there's so many customers. And they're good.
How do you expect to gain any respect from society being this way? I just, and why would you film this moment? You know how embarrassing this is? Why would you capture this? What would you like to get out of this? Like donations? like a hug? What are you looking for here?
We don't have fair scheduling. Managers don't care about us. Our manager was supposed to come in this weekend, and he took himself off the schedule, so he wouldn't be able to be held accountable for calling out. He just literally tore down the schedule that he was scheduled on and put up a new schedule where he wasn't on the schedule. Also, he couldn't have even seen that he was scheduled in the first place because he didn't want to be held accountable for not wanting to come in.
I mean, this is forever now. This is recorded forever.
I'm like at my wit's end with this job. I really am.
Well,
anyway, let's get to the fan mail.
The boss sees you.
If you got anything you want to send to the show, you can address it to Joey B vs. the World or Joey B Tunes, however you want to address it. 178 Columbus Ave, 237.
Hello Indie Game fan, more updates and releases for you to try, beginning with Dead Cells Everyone is Here Volume 2, one that adds a whole bunch of crossover indie game characters that you can play as, including Terraria, Shovel Knight, Hotline Miami, Katana Zero, Slay the Spire, and Risk of Rain, where they did add a whole bunch more like Hollow Knight in Volume 1 as well, making this weird and cool and unique, where these characters do also have custom weapons and skills, which adds even more variety to this excellent title. I have a couple of stragglers left over from October, such as Right and Down, a roguelite card-based dungeon crawler where you only have 2 buttons, move right or down, but there's a lot more strategic than you might think, and it's a change of pace from the usual deck building aspect when it comes to this type of game. This video is brought to you by Nemesis Lockdown, a digital adaptation of a tabletop board game of the same name, where about 5 months after its early access release, this is finally releasing in version 1.0. Most interestingly, this is an asymmetric multiplayer title where you're trapped within a Martian space base, having to fulfill your own unique objective while trying to survive the lockdown by hiding or escaping. As with most asymmetric titles, there may be a traitor or two in your midst, so you do need to assess who you can trust, and that's certainly not helped by the fact that there are aliens roaming the halls that will kill you. However, it is also fully turn-based, again being like its tabletop counterpart, but it's all conveniently packaged into a digital product that makes it easy to play with friends. I really do like Oli Oli World from earlier this year being one of the bigger games of interest this year, where their post-launch content roadmap continues to roll out with Finding the Flow Zone. This adds an entirely new area named Ratlantis, of course being a wordplay on Atlantis, where heroes are trying to prevent the business from exploiting the hidden city in the skies. Since this is the second major DLC drop, I wouldn't recommend this if you don't love the base game, where more to do is always welcome for this Flow State game. If you love your retro titles, Ring Lorn Saga will be of interest, a Japanese-style adventure RPG that is not quite Zelda, since it does have leveling and stats and all of that, but I do think that the developer has nailed exactly what they are going for. I do quite like the throwback visuals, but even if you've never played a game like this, I think it's worth a try, if only to get the taste of gaming history but with a modern polish. A relatively underrated point-and-click adventure game is The Dark Side Detective: A Fumble in the Dark, which released in April 2021, where they have been constantly releasing free content in the form of additional cases to tackle for our hero, with case number 9, Tales of the Dark Side being of interest, adding 3 mini cases back to back to back, where for free makes this even better. I was quite surprised to find out that Terracotta released, where I thought that I saw somewhere that it got pushed to next year, where this pixel art title has long been on my watch list. Interestingly, as they begin to show more of this game, I noticed that there isn't exactly combat in this, so it's not a Zelda-style action-adventure game, but rather it's a puzzle-adventure game instead. Don't get me wrong, there are still action sections and boss fights, but it appears that you're primarily dodging attacks and using the environment to dispatch of your enemies, looking like a different kind of game worth a look. RTS that I've had my eye on is Winter Falling Battle Tactics, a game that I did cover during the Steam Next Festival, where this has you leaving a mercenary company, taking on dangerous missions to claim their bounty. Despite using icons to represent units, there does seem to be a decent amount of strategy involved in battle, with a meta layer to consider as well.
Come here.
I, like everyone else, was totally caught off guard by the release of Shadows of Loathing, the sequel to West of Loathing from 2017, where according to the developers themselves, it was planned to be that way, developed in secret and without any pre-release press, and then released out into the world. Usually, this is disastrous for indie game developers and is not recommended, since surprise launching a game is never a good idea, but these are also the people behind the tremendously popular browser-based RPG Kingdom of Loathing, meaning that they had the audience no matter what. This does appear to be fairly similar to the first game, but with a theme and setting more focused on the Eldritch and the occult, but expect plenty of gags and jokes as their games tend to have. One of the best games of the year so far is this roguelite mining game, where it was kind of insane that despite not being an early access title, there was only one playable character in The Engineer, where the Assessor update to Domekeeper adds this new one, who is more on the mystical side, where everything changes in terms of physics and manipulation, which makes it very different. We can watch this for more of the best of 2022.
So I can buy it. The game was fun. I played the demo. Look it up on my profile. You can find it on YouTube.
So it turns out that Elon Musk appears to be leaving Twitter as Twitter CEO. Of course, he's still going to own the thing, but we'll get into that shortly. But I find Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter has been quite interesting, but also slightly confusing in some ways.
Yeah, right. I don't think the man knows how to run a fucking social fucking.
Looking into exactly the problem.
I don't think he knows how to run a damn thing.
Some of which we'll go through, because there's this kind of Joker-esque way that Elon has taken over Twitter.
Right.
Come in, caused absolute chaos, and now I'm kind of waiting for everything's up in the air, and I'm waiting for everything to land, particularly with the unsuspending of people.
I'm waiting for unsuspending of people.
It's been 5 years, Elon.
It's been 6 weeks.
Yeah, you got suspended from Twitter as well. Do you know why?
No. I mean, I can guess why, but they never tell you you've broken their terms of service. It could be anything.
Yeah. I did misgender someone.
Yes, the Taliban never seem to break their terms of service.
Yeah, it is weird.
The terrorist groups.
Yeah, the Iranian government.
Yeah.
It's just very strange. Anyway, before we begin, if you want to support us, go over to lowseas.com and check out our new series, which is Comics Corner, which is Harry and Connor analysing particular comic series they read. And I think this is interesting because it seems to tie in. It's, the Joker that they're doing this week, and I just felt it was thematically appropriate. But it's been getting a really good reception, so they must be doing a good job. Comics aren't anything particularly, but everyone...
Alright, I gotta take these dogs out. I'll be back.
everyone seems to really like it, so great. Anyway, let's begin with some jokerish maneuvering by Elon Musk. So, hashtag #RipJimmyFallon was trending on Twitter. According to one commentator, it's trending because Twitter allows fake news now. There are no adults it allows fake news now. As if up until this point there was no fake news on Twitter. Nothing about Russian collusion or, nothing about the Hunter Biden laptop. Is suppressing true things a form of fake news? I would suggest it's a lie by omission. Who knows, right? But they carry on. There are no adults in the boardroom or moderators. Elon Musk fired them all. This is what Twitter looks like when anything goes and you can literally crash corporate stocks with a fake tweet. This is, of course, in reference... this is not what's being presented. It's just some other commentators' thing. I should have got the link, really. But this, of course, is because Elon Musk rolled out Twitter Blue's verification system, and people are like, but I'm not actually being verified, I'm just paying for the check mark, so I can put myself as anything. And so this caused this outrage. And so Jimmy Fallon just tweeted at Elon Musk being like, Elon, can you fix this? And Elon just responded with, fix what? And it's like, well, what do you really want him to do? Am I supposed to... No, you're not allowed to tweet this now? Am I supposed to Hunter Biden, #RipJimmyFallon? No. And again, this is hardly the first time fake news has been trending on Twitter. And of course he puts, sounds like a job for community notes, which is the for basically the community can put tags on things and say, look, this is fake news or this is the context, whatever. I don't think it's a terrible idea, to be honest. But anyway, so in light of all of this, Twitter Blue had to be postponed because, as I said in my How Elon Musk Should Moderate Twitter article, actually he needs to verify the people who are paying for verification. You have to know exactly who they are in order to make sure that they're not impersonating people, because, of course, this was a major problem. I actually suggested, look, just have it so they actually don't get to change their names, as in they actually have to have their names, and so you don't end up with the problem that Count Dankula is in right now. And if you scroll up just to the woman above him as well, someone called Rational Blonde was like, I'm stuck as spicy chicken sandwich. Can I change it? And Elon's just like, well, with the new release, changing your verified name will cause a loss of checkmark until the name is confirmed by Twitter to meet the terms of service. Again, the easiest way to do this, if they're paying you, just use their credit card name, just first and last name. Don't worry about the middle name. There you go, you're verified. You are who you claim to be. You don't get to change it, and you don't get stuck as giant penis brackets parody, as Count Dankula has found out, which amusing, but I
think the issue for Elon here is when he came up with this, he had no concept how childish people can be.
Yes, indeed.
And how silly they can be.
Which is kind of ironic, given how he loves his memes, he loves tomfoolery on the...
Vending machines. They come in various shapes and sizes, but technically they all do the same thing. Insert a coin or two, make a selection, and a few mechanical clicks will lead you to a small dopamine rush. Now that all sounds lovely, but throughout 1985, some of these vending machines across Japan led to 12 deaths and a further 22 poisonings. But who is behind these violent crimes? How did Japan react to the unknown serial killer? And is there a fear that still lingers to this very day? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, folks. My name is Adrian, and welcome back to another video by Coffee House Crime. You're joining me today to look at the mysterious case of the Japanese vending machine murders. Now, you may or may not have heard, but I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing to Coffee House Crime, and I may just give you a coffee. So please, on that note, grab yourself a coffee, buckle up, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of the Japanese vending machine murders. In this video, we're travelling back in time to the 1980s, and turning our focus to the prosperous country of Japan. Back then, Japan was noticeably different to what it currently is today. The country was the envy of the world, growing at an annual rate of 4%, and its economy was rocketing. Now, I wasn't alive for this period of time, but what I've been told is that this golden era is often referred to as a miracle after the devastation of World War II. Unemployment was at a staggeringly low 4.9%, and most of its population had a considerably healthy income when compared to their costs of living. In tandem to this, manufacturing and exportation increased rapidly, which gave way to a very favourable source of international income. During this time, most major cities across the country were characterised by busy streets, filled with traditional flags and advertisements. This certainly was a time when urban Japan felt haphazard but nostalgic. The 1980s were a time before the birth of modern social media, and gaming relics were yet to be released. Donkey Kong saw the light of day in July 1981, and Super Mario Bros. Followed suit in the year 1985. And after this, as we all know, the gaming empire of Nintendo exploded in popularity. When it comes to Japanese media, it is often hard to forget anime and manga. Studio Ghibli was also established in this decade, with famous titles such as Akira and Astro Boy coming into popularity.
Best anime movie
Now,
ever.
on the more traditional side of things, Japan began to experience a decrease in its rural population, as people moved to the big cities to find work during the economic boom. And of course, along with its booming economy and many famous titles came tourism. Tourism in Japan started to take off, and countries such as America, Germany, Sweden, Indonesia and the UK grew an affinity for the country. Naturally, this brought in many cultures and languages from across the world. And to add to Japan's prosperous and otherwise closed-off economy came an increasingly diverse nation. Now, speaking of Japan's rich diversity in tourism, and before we continue, I did want to remind you of Coffee House Crime's long-term sponsors, Babbel. Welcome to autumn, folks. The leaves are changing, school is back in session, and now is the perfect time to start learning. Straight back to today's video. Now, one of Japan's many characteristics is its tendency to make things as convenient as possible, whether that be a fast and reliable train network, a well-kitted convenience store, or a konbini on almost every street. And of course, what I'm talking about is vending machines. Although in many other countries we may see an odd vending machine in a mall or train station, in Japan these are almost everywhere, and you can even apply to have one put right outside your house. Now, Japanese vending machines can serve almost anything, from your usual assortment of drinks on the go, served hot or cold, all the way down to, well, bee larvae and even bread in a can. Now, I don't say this lightly, but the Japanese have pushed the very limit on what can be shot down a tray, all for a few coins at your convenience. And of course, with Japan being all things over the top, there are even vending machine restaurants if you wanted an assortment to choose from. Ever since their commercial availability in the 1950s, vending machines have become extremely popular across Japan, serving city folk and farmers alike. Konbini were all the rage, and everyone took to its convenience. And of course, all had absolute trust in their contents. But in 1985, that trust was suddenly broken when a truck driver from Fukuyama was admitted to the hospital under very worrying circumstances.
Doesn't that feel better?
With a rapidly developing mysterious illness, he told doctors that he had no idea what could have caused it. All he remembers is starting work and, throughout the day, getting periodically worse. His symptoms began with nausea, abdominal pain and diarrhea. And over the next several hours, confusion, muscle weakness, seizures and respiratory failure started to set in. By the second day, he had developed scarring in his lungs, and his kidney and liver started to function abnormally. On May 2nd, 1985, and after 3 days of fighting this illness, this man would unfortunately pass away. But the big question remains, what exactly had killed him? The man's condition was symptomatic of poisoning, and after sampling his vomit, a significant amount of the herbicide Paraquat, which is a common plant and weed control, was found. Before passing away, he recounted his final day at work, telling doctors that he'd stopped at a vending machine on the way and bought a bottle of Ronamin C, which is a vitamin-loaded energy drink commonly found in Japan. It was during this time frame that many vending machine companies were running a special promotion. If you purchased a bottle of Ronamin C, there was a chance that 2 would drop down into the tray. Now, in this case, the truck driver wasn't so lucky, but someone else must have had this luck instead, as just after his purchase, he noticed a spare bottle stood on top of the vending machine. Making the assumption that someone had pleasantly passed their luck on to someone else, he decided to take the drink. Now, this has to be said for context, but Japan is a relatively safe country, and this especially applies when away from its capital, Tokyo. Japan's people are known to abide by the rules avidly, and people are so trustworthy that it's common to find unmanned stores and stalls, where you can freely pick up items and are trusted to leave the money behind. When it comes to gifts, Japanese people are also very generous. It is standard practice to gift your neighbours when you move in, step-parents on the first meeting, and to thank your teachers and co-workers, and so on. So, if someone did wish to pass on their good fortune, and without the assumption of reciprocation, it made total sense for this random energy drink to be left above the vending machine. After drinking his first bottle on the way to work, our unfortunate victim began his second over lunch, and that is when he began to feel ill. Now at first, doctors and investigators took no note of this, but after running out of other options, they decided to take a closer look at the drink, and what they found was Paraquat. Paraquat poisoning is life-threatening, and even a small quantity can be life-altering, and this is for many reasons. It affects the liver and kidneys, but most notably a person's respiratory system, causing fibrosis and can make breathing increasingly difficult. For example, this is a scan of the lungs of a survivor who